Richmond's Sydney Stack and Callum Coleman-Jones will be sent packing from the Gold Coast after an ugly street brawl outside a strip club.
Fists flying in front of an Orchard Avenue kebab shop.
It was 3:30 a.m. when Stack and Coleman-Jones were involved in a fight outside Kebab Zone in Surfers Paradise. They'd just been turfed from a nearby strip club.
Another male approached Coleman-Jones and appeared to strike him in the face before all hell broke loose. Both suspended for 10 matches.
Yeah, disbelief, anger, bewilderment, that the players knew the protocols and that notwithstanding that, they would choose to act in breach of the protocols.
I just want to apologise to my teammates, mainly the club, family and supporters back at home. I wanted to say sorry to the AFL as well for putting the game at risk.
As Richmond's second COVID breach, the Tigers were also fined a whopping $100,000.
Yeah, certainly ugly stuff, isn't it? Richmond making headlines yet again for all the wrong reasons. Mick Malthouse made the observation on the weekend that maybe the Tigers are getting too big for their boots. Well, on the back of that, we know that 2 Tigers did get the boot from the Gold Coast. And, Caro, there's so much more to play out with this.
That's right, Tony. Their careers are obviously in the balance. So sad, Matthew, because Sydney Stack was such an exciting story last year. Now he's in disgrace. Ditto Callum Coleman-Jones. What hasn't been resolved and what remains a live issue for Richmond and the AFL Players Association is Brendan Gale's insistence that these players pay the fine themselves. Now, Brendan Gale, this has been reported in the media as an ambit claim by Richmond that it can't happen. Brendan Gale is determined that although $37,500 each is not something these 2 players on their wages can afford to pay at the moment, that there will have to be some financial concession to the players over the next couple of years if they remain at the club. You discussed this on 3AW on Saturday, Matthew, and your view was that they needed to make some financial show to take responsibility, and that is the view of the club as well.
Yeah, that's my belief, that the ethical thing to do, even though Paul Marsh is standing by them saying that wasn't, it's the agreement that the AFL and the clubs have come to. I think Sydney Stack and Coleman-Jones, I couldn't look my teammates or my club in the eye if I just said, the rules are the rules, you have to pay it. I wouldn't live with myself in that situation. When I've bought this all on myself, I would have to pay. I'd pay as much as I possibly could back to the footy club.
And the Richmond view is that in putting their arms around the players, which people didn't like to hear, that includes making them take financial responsibility. This is Paul Marsh on Saturday.
This isn't a fine that's not available to be given to the players in the first place. It's between the AFL and the clubs. We have agreed with the AFL a set of sanctions that are available to be used if a player does breach. These 2 players have received the maximum penalty under those protocols.
It's a long time, Tony, since Brendan Gale ran the AFLPA, but the code of conduct has not changed. It's still $5,000, which clubs, and this has focused everyone on that ridiculous fine, which they say is not nearly enough. Players' wages have almost doubled since Brendan ran the AFLPA. And Paul Marsh is talking about an agreement that Richmond say they had no idea existed. Some of the AFL are even saying they're not quite sure if that's exactly the agreement. I just think that this is not going to go away. Richmond has far too much on its plate to keep going at the moment, but they are not going to let it lie and they'll take it up at the end of the season.
What's your take on that, Kane? I know you've been pretty strong on it.
Well, I just wonder whether, Caro, both out of contract, whether a condition of them going on next year is to take a significant amount less in their next contract. So is there anything in the AFL rules that would say if Sydney Stack was going to get a $150,000 base next year, that may be $120,000? So I'm wondering whether that's a way around it and a condition of their future employment should they stay on at the club.
The club is certainly looking at those sort of things, Kane, and let's just remember that Richmond's soft cap in its football department next year is already losing $3.5 million. This is now special equipment, a staff member, a group of people who are all going to take pay cuts as a result of what these 2 players have done.
OK,
extraordinary.
So how can they actually show their faces at Punt Road Oval on the back of that, knowing that some people might lose their jobs, other people will most certainly take pay cuts?
Well, I think what Matthew said, I think that they need to put their hand up. They can't afford the full amount now. Maybe split it over a few years, maybe put some small amount back in, maybe community work, maybe volunteer work at the club.
And maybe, TJ, they should deliver the news to the staff members, and that would be the toughest thing they've ever had to do in their lives, to tell someone why they've possibly lost their job or why they have to take less.
But even that, I don't know how you could possibly continue at Punt Road, and that's why I've been really firm and consistent on this, is that they should be sacked.
Yeah, look, I don't... the Players Association would have a field day on that. Richmond would not even consider that, as angry as they are. They want to give these two boys a chance. If Callum Coleman-Jones is traded, then he will be traded. But I think they're not going to throw Sydney Stack to the Wolves at this point.
And Stack and Coleman-Jones would want to hope the team wins because they've been winning, which is, wallpapering over the cracks, I think. But